Hello friends, welcome to Insights I Can Initiative. In today's video, we are going to discuss about India-UAE relations. First, we'll check the syllabus mapping. This particular video is going to help you in General Studies Paper 2, that is India and Bilateral Relations. Now we will check what we are going to discuss in this video. In this video, we are going to discuss about why it is in news. You know that students, our Prime Minister, while he was returning from France, he visited UAE. So what kind of areas we discussed with UAE? Education, environment, and a joint statement issued regarding the global climate finance. That is about $100 billion fund is there. Okay, that fund should be contributed by the developed nations, but still it is not fulfilled. It was discussed in this meeting. Then both countries agreed to settle trade in local currencies, that is Indian rupee and Abu Dhabi dirham. But that means bypassing the dollar. It is one of the step towards the internationalization of rupee. Already I discussed about internationalization of rupee. So I am including that link. So in the bell icon, I mean this including in this video. So in these cards I will include, so you can watch that. Okay. Next, both banks, the Central Bank of UAE as well as the RBI, they made an agreement regarding the fast payment system, that means UPI of India and the fast payment system of the UAE, they made an agreement. Next, the agreement regarding the investments between India and UAE, we want to increase this investment to $100 billion by the time of this year G20 meeting. Then comprehensive economic partnership agreement was signed between the UAE and India a few years back. Because of that, now the trade relations between both countries improved. Even the NRI remittances are increased quite a lot compared with the previous times, and both countries agreed to invest money in the energy sector, especially in the strategic petroleum reserves in Karnataka. Okay, in Karnataka, Mangalore and Podur. These are the two areas where UAE is interested in investing the strategic petroleum reserves. And finally, in the end of the video, we will discuss about types of various trade agreements. So this is the video outflow. Next, first you have to understand, students. Here you can see here a Prime Minister and the UAE President, and here you will see the RBI Governor, where both nations agreeing that the agreement regarding the payments in the local currencies. Here you will see the UAE map, and UAE, it is sharing border with the Persian Gulf, and so popular places in UAE are, we will discuss now. And here the countries which are sharing border with UAE are Oman as well as Saudi Arabia. These are the countries which are sharing border with UAE. And UAE divided into these regional blocks: Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, and some other places. So this is about some geographical information regarding the UAE. Now we will see why it is in news. As I mentioned earlier, our Prime Minister, while he was returning from France, he visited UAE. It was the fifth time visiting UAE since our Prime Minister took his office since 2014. Then our Prime Minister had discussion with the UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan regarding to improve the bilateral relation between two nations. As I mentioned earlier, we discussed about a range of areas regarding the cooperations. Especially, we discussed about education. With respect to education, IIT Delhi is going to set up their branch in UAE, Abu Dhabi. So one question to you students here. Recently, one more IIT also, they decided to set up their branch in Tanzania. What is that IIT? One IIT decided to set up their branch in Tanzania, Africa. What is the name of the IIT? Tell me. So education, IIT branch. Then we also discussed regarding the cooperation in the climate change. India extended its fullest support to UAE, especially as UAE is hosting the COP28 summit. You know that students, COP summits are organized according to the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Climate Change Agreement. United Nations Framework Climate Change Agreement, students. UNFCCC. UNFCCC, it was formed in 1992. 1992. Okay. So this convention, this climate change convention, it was adopted in 1994 and first started implemented from 1995. In 1995, first COP meeting was held, COP1. Okay. Recently COP27, it was held in Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh, and COP28 is going to be held in UAE. And both countries, they announced that the global climate finance, which is about $100 billion. So this money has to be contributed by the developed nations, but it is not happening. And both nations urged that developed countries should contribute money to this fund. This fund is mainly to mitigate or to prevent the negative consequences of climate change. Next, we both discuss regarding the investment in energy, especially in the areas of strategic petroleum reserves in Karnataka. Strategic petroleum reserves in Karnataka. UAE is showing interest. And we also discussed about with respect to trade. Now both nations, we are having trades, bilateral trades around $80 billion. And we are expecting that this will reach around $100 billion in this year by the time of G20 summit. You know that, students, India is hosting this year G20 summit, and last year G20 summit was hosted by Indonesia. And tell me, next G20 is going to be which country? G20 Troika. Okay, next G20 is going to be hosted by which nation? Tell me, students. Next, we also discussed that already the both nations signed CAPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Because of this, the trade between the two nations is increasing. Even the remittances between the two countries, remittances from UAE to India. Remittances means Indian nationals who are working in abroad and they are sending money back to India. That is known as remittances. And in this agreement, in this visit, we also discussed about various other things, such as, already we are having the common platform such as I2U2. It is also known as Quad 2.0 to further enhance the cooperation between these two countries. And agreement was also signed between UAE and India regarding the transaction of payments in local currency. That means we decided to bypass the dollar. For implementing this, we created one mechanism. What is that mechanism? We will check in the notes. Are we clear about this? Now we will see the notes. This is the context why our Prime Minister visited. And with respect to education, already we discussed Delhi branch, and even the memorandum of agreement also signed with respect to this. And it is going to be operational from the next year January, and from next year September onwards, even the graduation courses also going to be offered in the campus. Next, regarding the environment, we are supporting the UAE with respect to COP28, and both nations announced that the Global Climate Finance Fund, that is about $100 billion, it should be materialized as soon as possible. And both countries also emphasized the importance of the global stock take. What is the meaning of the global stock take? This concept was proposed in COP21, and this is about this global stock take. It is a component which evaluates and which monitors the implementation of this progress made under this sustainable development goals. How the sustainable development goals are implementing, and how the COP21 targets are being implemented. Those goals are being monitored by the global stock take. Both nations are urging that global stock take has to be operationalized as soon as possible. Then, trade settlement. Both nations agreed that the trade settlement between the UAE and India is going to be in local currencies. For that, agreements were made between the RBI and UAE Central Bank. Here, local currencies means rupee with respect to India and AED, Arab Emirates dirham with respect to UAE. That means if I am Indian exporter, if I am exporting something, they'll pay in dirhams, and I'll use the same dirhams to import something from the UAE. That means I am bypassing the dollars. The same kind of proposal is already there with Russia, that is regarding the rupee ruble agreement. Rupee ruble agreement. Even with respect to Sri Lanka is also, the plan is on the cards. Let's see how it will develop. For this, to enforce this kind of transactions, we created one system that is known as local currency settlement system. LCSS, local currency settlement system. It will promote this settlement in the local currency, and it enables both exporters as well as importers to settle their invoices. That means to settle their bills in local currencies. With this, that the settlement time for the transactions will be reduced a lot. Even the people who are sending money to India, that means Indian remittances, will be facilitated as well. Next, linking of the fast payment system in India, UPI, Unified Payment Interface, as well as Abu Dhabi's instant payment platform, they both been linked. So they can facilitate the settlement of transactions in the local currencies. Regarding this, agreement also made between the RBI and Central Bank of the UAE, students. Next, investment between the India and UAE. You know that both countries signed CEPA, Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Here you have to understand there are various types of trade agreement between nations. First, the first level of trade agreement between nations is known as preferential trade agreement. Preferential trade agreement. After preferential trade agreement, next level of agreement is known as free trade agreement. Okay. After the free trade agreement, next level of agreement, comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Okay. In between, comprehensive economic cooperation agreement also will be there. But so this is the next step, comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Then here we'll discuss about the customs union, and customs markets, and finally economic markets. So these are the various levels of trade agreement between nations. Preferential trade agreement means here there will be less tariff on the goods and services, and which goods they are going to impose less tax, they maintain the list of those goods. That means they maintain the positive list. Okay. Out of 100 goods, for example, India and UAE, around on 20 goods, taxes will be low. On the rest of the goods, taxes will be normal. Example, free trade agreement. Here will maintain the negative list. That means, except on few goods, on the rest of the goods, the tax and tariff will be very low. That is a negative list. On the next level, comprehensive economic partnership agreement. It covers not only the goods and services, even it also covers the intellectual property rights and some advanced mechanisms as well. Customs union. Here, group of countries, they decided together to have a common tax laws and common, tax border, so that they can have less tax among those nations compared to the other countries. The advanced version of this is custom market, and finally economic market is the one group of countries, they are going to have a common currency. Students. Like the best example is Euro. These are some of the economic or trade agreements. Now we had already an agreement between India and UAE. We had already CAPA in place. Because of this, since the CAPA, UAE has become the fourth largest investor in India in 2023, and it was the seventh largest investor previously. Now it reached to the fourth largest investor. You can understand even how much UAE is important to India and how much India is important to UAE. Because India is very important to UAE. When Abhinandan Vardhaman was captured in Pakistan, UAE helped to India by pressurizing the Pakistan. Even though both nations belong to the same ideology, that is Sunni ideology. FDI inflow. After CAPA is signed, obviously the FDI increased from $1.03 billion to $3.35 billion. Almost all 3 times it increased. The CAPA was signed on 18th February 2022. It covers all the tariffs. So the worth of the tariff around 11,908 tariff lines. That means goods and services from India perspective, and from UAE perspective around 7,581 tariff lines. All these are going to be covered. Now the trade volume between the two nations, it is around $85 billion, and by the G20 meeting we are expecting that this trade volume should reach to around $100 billion we are expecting. And India is the UAE's second largest trading partner. Okay, whereas for India, okay, UAE is second largest export destination as well as the third largest trading partner. If you know, tell me what is the largest trading partner to India? Largest trading partner to India. Next, even NRI remittances. After the CAPA was signed, NRI remittances also increased. Now they are standing around $17.56 billion in the year of 2018. With respect to energy, in 2017, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company and India Strategic Petroleum Reserve Limited. It is one of the public sector undertaking which takes care about the maintenance of the strategic petroleum reserves. They both signed an agreement to establish strategic petroleum reserves in the city of Mangalore. Even they are considering to establish another strategic petroleum reserve at Podur in Karnataka. Strategic petroleum reserve is nothing but a tank, a reserve tank where we store the petroleum reserves. In case if we require in any emergency, we can use up that source. Okay. Next, Lower Zakum concession. It is one of the oil region, okay, oil exploration region. In this region, India's consortium group of companies led by ONGC, we invested around 10% in this oil exploration region. Next one is regarding the type of trade agreements. Already I mentioned about type of trade agreements regarding the preferential trade agreements, foreign trade, free trade agreements, and CECA, CEPA, customs union, common market, and economic markets. Preferential trade agreements, here we maintain the positive list of the goods. Free trade agreements, here we maintain the negative list of the goods. That means majority of the goods are covered under concessions. Here, comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. This is very rarely we use, and it covers very limited manner. It covers only tariff quota rates as well as the trade tariffs. If we improve this, it is nothing but CEPA, comprehensive economic partnership agreement. It covers not only the goods and services, it also covers the intellectual properties. That is what we signed with the UAE. The next level is customs union. They are going to have a common external barrier and no internal barriers. Whereas common market, they are going to have a common economic policies. Whereas economic market, they are going to have a common currency. These are various types of the trade agreements. Yesterday video's question. Varuna is performed between the India and which country? It is between the India and France. Now let's see today's question. You know students, I will provide the PDF on 15 days basis. So don't worry about the PDF. Consider the following statement regarding the bilateral relation between the India and UAE. Observe these three statements and tell me which one is the appropriate statement, which pair is right. Next, mains question. The India and UAE relation, it is steadily strengthening in recent years in diverse areas, from economic to cultural to counter-terrorism. And India-UAE, they have worked together on multiple areas. And elaborate on the key areas of cooperation and the significance of India-UAE partnership. This is the mains question. As we reach to the end of the video, we will do quick revision what we learn in this video. In this video, we discussed about India-UAE relations, the location of UAE, and in which areas we try to cooperate: education and environment, and energy security, and settlement of trades in local currencies, payment mechanisms. These are the various areas we discussed. And we also discussed about various types of trade agreements. This is the detailed analysis regarding the India-UAE relations in the context of our Prime Minister visit to UAE.